What is going on, everybody? I'm sorry, I was doing some work in the background because apparently I forgot to add necessary information for us to go live on Instagram. So it might work on Instagram, it might not
Oh,
work on
geez.
Instagram. I have no freaking clue. But much like, our show today was obviously a pretty hectic day for the NFL, making the final 53 man roster cuts and deciding who they're going to be keeping for practice squad guys, who they're letting go, just a whole lot of stuff going on. So obviously, things are a little bit crazy. That being the case, because we tend to do things crazy around here at the show, um, we also want to bring some of our friends in from around the UFL to talk about kind of what they're doing in the off season, especially the teams that may potentially not be here next year, and what some of those fan bases are doing to kind of connect. So we're going to start out with our friends who need no introduction, but they definitely need an introduction. It's our friends over at the My
They
Panther
need no
Pride
introduction, but
podcast,
here, let's
and
introduce
that
them.
would
What's
be
up, man?
What's
yes.
up, guys? How you guys doing? It's been a while.
Pretty good,
How you
man.
guys
Pretty good.
been?
How about yourself, dude?
Pretty good, bro.
It has been a minute, man. So you know us, we don't really prepare for things like this. So I'm not going to give you a chance to prepare for some of the hard-hitting questions that we're going to be asking tonight. But I've got to ask you, first and foremost, initial thoughts, reactions. How did you feel when this story broke? And what were your initial thoughts about that? Like, hey, my team might be going away. So talk
Well,
us through that whole thing.
whenever
Okay.
the James Larson article first dropped, that was heartbreaking. It's like if they were to rip the Brahmas from you guys, you know what I'm saying? If you guys thought that you guys were going to lose the Brahmas, because all the hard work
Oh,
we
yeah.
put in with the podcast and with making the connections with the team that we have throughout the season and creating the memories with our family and like working on the tailgates and engaging with the community. So at first it's like, man, all this has to end. This sucks. Like there's got to be some kind of options. And then moving forward, seeing what happened with the Stallions and Rapoli, challenging them to 5,000 season tickets in a week. That was a crazy number, but I think it was an unachievable number just to test the waters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was cool seeing him save the Stallions and announcing that the Stallions were saved. And then this morning, whenever he said it was this morning, or was it yesterday? It was this morning, I think. Whenever he's saying, he's trying to do something in Michigan, it's just it's a tough situation if you look at it because we don't have a lot of choices. There's
Yeah,
only
I
really
mean,
one.
the biggest thing with you guys, obviously we know Houston and Memphis, their attendance absolutely sucks. That's why their teams are going to be gone. Birmingham, for being, a three-time spring league champion, their attendance was very poor for as good of a team as they're supposed to be. You guys are the only team in the league that actually increased attendance last year. So
Yeah.
it isn't your problem. It's probably that you have a terrible deal with your Ford Field. So
Yeah, and we
dude, if you guys
increased by
Well,
could
not
put
just a little bit. It was
60,000
43.6%.
yeah, Ford Field would work, but it's not a great deal for 10 to
no.
15,000 people.
Yeah, Ford Field is an excellent facility for playing football, but not this level of football. Um, and I think despite all that, right? Because we know Ford Field, it's an NFL field, it's not going to
Oh
be
no.
cheap to rent. Despite all that, you guys have shown some amazing increase in numbers. And I've got to think that some of that might have to do with some of the efforts that you guys have put in. So, what I would like to ask you, the next tough question, what have you done to help the Michigan Panthers grow in attendance? Because I think those are some highlights that if Mr. Rapoli is watching, he needs to know about, right? What some of the things that the fans have been willing to do to sacrifice to make things happen for their team. So talk about it.
Pretty much like the whole reason I started the podcast is I was talking everybody's ear off that was around me about the Panthers. So I needed another outlet to talk about the team. So I think having the podcast and handing out stickers we handed out probably about 1,000 stickers for our podcast this year, on top of trying to start getting tailgates going before the game, to have the game day atmosphere and just little things to try to make a grassroots effort. Like we just had the backpack giveaway because we talked earlier in the season about doing some kind of community give back. You guys inspired that a little bit, so we just had a really successful backpack giveaway. We gave away 50 backpacks, fed a bunch of families for lunch.
That's awesome, man.
We had the big USFL Panthers backdrop that Jeremiah gave me from last year out there, and then I had another table with some footballs, a Michigan flag, practice jersey that Marcus Sims sent me. So, just trying
Nice.
to do what we can in our communities. Like we're already talking about another community event, but we're talking about going to Jackson, Michigan, which there's a lot of fans that's in Jackson. That's over 2 hours away for me. So that's not really local. So we're doing our part and trying to reach out to other communities as well, because we are the Michigan Panthers. It's not just Detroit or Saginaw or wherever. It's the whole state, man.
Yeah.
And I think
Well, that's awesome, man.
Okay.
That's great to hear, man. It like kind of XFL Mike G says here, it's great seeing fans engaged during the off season. It's not just oh well, season's over, I'm gonna go hide around or just kind of kick it until next season starts. It's staying engaged, staying out there, getting the name of the team out there, and your podcast as well. So,
yep. Like I went to my son's girlfriend's house to pick him up one day, and I walked back there, and I have a Panthers hat on almost every day. Guy's like, "Oh man, that sucks. I hear the Panthers are leaving." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Just slow down, slow down. I don't think you quite know who you started a conversation with here about this, but I don't know if I could sit back here all night."
Yeah. Well, and I think that part's important also because we've got fans that are obviously connected, such as yourselves, that are fighting for your football lives. So you're watching everything, you're monitoring everything, you're staying connected with the pulse of everything that's going on in the UFL. And what better person to talk to than somebody who's actually paying attention to every single thing that's coming out, whether it be a story that you're not sure about is actually true, or if it's the real deal from the UFL itself. So I think that's good that you, as not only a Michigan fan and a UFL fan, but a football fan in general, are on. You have your finger on the pulse, and you're sharing this information with your fellow Michiganders.
Michigander.
I don't know what you guys call yourselves. Yeah, there you go. We're Texans. That's all it is. They're just simple Texans. Um, but you're sharing that information, right? And that's good for the league because we know, I mean, there's been some questions about, advertising in different leagues and, who's doing what and who's getting gypped. And we're not going to go into all of that right now. Uh, but I do think it's important for you as, kind of a representative of your fan base to be connected, to be able to share that information with everybody and to keep helping push those ticket sales because butts and seats and eyes on the product around. So,
Yep.
um,
Yeah. One thing I'm curious of is how much did Michigan jump up in ticket sales, or just other teams in general jump up in ticket sales when he put that challenge out to Birmingham?
I'd be curious to see that.
Yeah, that part we can't necessarily speak to because we don't necessarily have access to those numbers. However,
Right.
I will say that uh, for certain, there was a boost in Birmingham. There was a boost, I'm sure, in you guys' numbers,
Mhm.
right? What those translate out to right now, anybody's guess. I'd like to think that there might have been, you know, engagement across the board for all four teams that were supposedly, getting the axe, but we just don't know, right? And from the social media and stuff that I've been monitoring, I've seen some stuff for Houston, right? Especially XFL Mike G has, been using the Alternative Football Network and their connections to try and get the word out to save Houston and to save Memphis as well. But outside of, Houston and, a couple of the hardcore fans that we know and everything, I hadn't really seen a whole bunch from Birmingham. I hadn't seen a whole bunch from Memphis. I've seen a couple of things from one guy from Memphis that, has kind of stirred up a little bit of ire from a
Yeah,
certain member of this
we
podcast.
know
Well,
who
if
it is.
you don't know my feelings, you can go watch last week's episode. So
Oh no,
I won't.
Everybody knows.
I gotta send a
Everybody
clip.
knows.
I'll just say I don't disagree.
Yeah. And again, like I get the ire, I get the rage, especially, if you've been doing stuff. Uh my only question is, as I've asked you, right, what have you been doing? What kind of efforts have you been making to help save your team? Um, and it's not like I don't want anybody to, necessarily feel put on the spot or anything like that. But just to give you a little bit of background, me and this guy, as soon as we found out that we had a team back in what, 23? No, it was 22.
22. Yeah, it
It
was
was
towards
20,
the end of
yeah,
22.
22. We had already started reaching out and started connecting with fellow fans that we knew from the San Antonio Commanders days, right? And started forming our Brahmas faithful group. And then we started getting together and planning events. We had no idea at the time whether the league was going to put any money into advertising for these teams or not. Our objective was simple: round up the fans, get the butts in seats, get the financial backing there so this thing doesn't go away. What I know about San Antonio sports history is that we've been teased and taunted by so many different football leagues, including the NFL, right? And every time something comes in, within 2 to 3 years, it goes away, right? So we're committed to making this stick. Now, that's not necessarily, I mean, you can't cookie cutter method this for every single fan base. But the one thing that you can take away from that is just like what you guys have been picking up on is using that drive to get you out there in the community and get you out there sharing information about the team and having people say, I've heard of this Michigan Panther team, but I don't really know anything about them. Who would I talk to about it? That's where you guys come in. And that can
Exactly.
help push those ticket sales, right?
100%.
So, um, so we don't want to keep you all night long, but we definitely are rooting for you guys. Um, what can we as Texans Talking Football do to help support you guys and help get the word out?
As you've seen on X, we've been kind of calling out Rapoli to try to get a conversation going, or even get him over on My Panther Pride if that's an option at some point in time to talk about the status of Michigan and maybe the other USFL teams. So just help us reshare, retweet, gain traction on some of our posts, that I know you guys do as best you can as you are, you know. So that's just one of our main
Well,
goals right now is to get a conversation with the man, you know, uh, or a little bit of back and forth at least on Twitter to see what the
yeah,
real situation is. If it is it the gray field at EMU that is really stopping them, or is it the fact that it's a 30K stadium, 30,000 seat capacity stadium, and if we're only getting 12 on average to a game, 11, 12 average to a game, I mean, if we still show the progression we're on, we'll be closer to 14, 15,000 per game.
Yeah, but even 14, 15 in a
And a
30,000
30,000 is
stadium
better than a
looks a lot better
65,000.
than 12, 13 in a what is Ford Field, like a 80,000, 60,000, something like that.
65.
Yeah, so it still looks better.
Yeah, way better. And if it's only for a year till Alumni Field opens, once Alumni Field opens, there's already been talks between the league and DCFC to make that partnership. And it seems like that's really the the target that Rapoli wants. He wants that 15 to 20,000 seat stadium, and it's going to be a brand new facility. You know, I think that'd be great.
Yeah. So we have a question here. The stadium that Rivoli was talking about only holds like 4,000.
No,
Is that
Alumni Field once
is
built
there
will be
anything to that?
15,000. Where they play now,
Okay.
where DCFC plays now, is only about 6,000 to 8,000.
Okay.
Okay. So, and that's kind of one of the things that we're a little bit concerned about down here in San Antonio. Also, if we don't stick with the Alamo Dome, our next obvious choice would be Toyota Field, where SAFC, San Antonio Football Club, plays, and that's only an 8,000 seat stadium, right? And so we're pulling crowds of about 12,000 right now.
Right.
We're going to lose 4,000 fans right off the rip, and it's outdoors. So we're not blessed with that beautiful northern weather that you guys are, in May and June, where you guys are cracking a sweltering 75, 80 degrees. Like, we're already in the 90s at that point, Jack. And big guys playing football, it's not a pleasant situation, I promise you.
What was it? The Michigan game in
and
Houston was like over 110 or something this year.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to share that. That's the girlfriend. She'd yell at me if I didn't share that with you guys. Anyways, so get out, keep doing what you guys are doing. Okay, you're making a difference. People that are following My Panther Pride or that are following this podcast here, help spread the world. Or help spread the world. Help spread the word, and let's get some conversations with Rapoli so we can kind of find out, hey, where are we at? What still needs to be done? What can we do to secure or solidify some of these teams, right? Or really kind of find out what the teams that do go away, what didn't they do? What could they have done better? How could they have maybe maintained that presence? So if they're willing to fight after the team leaves, maybe they can work on getting a team back. So let's say Houston goes away and moves to Canton, right? Houston can come back and fight and get their team back, and that could be an expansion team, right? They could rejuvenate the Houston Roughnecks, right? So these are things we have to have a conversation with Rapoli about, though, because he's going to be the mastermind behind the purse strings. So we need to figure out. So guys, make sure that you're sharing your tweets, at him. I'm sorry, I've got two dogs play fighting here and they're loud as hell. Anyways, make sure you're sharing all this information. Try and get his attention. Let him know that people need to talk to him, right? Let's get that word out there and see what we can do to kind of connect guys like, My Panther Pride podcast with him in a conversation. So, oh my God, Brian, I hate you. So, anyways, yeah, he's yelling at me, telling me to shut up.
Shut up, Jay.
So we're gonna wrap up here with you.
Hold on. Before we wrap it up, give someone else a chance to talk. My God. But not just UFL. We're not just UFL here
this week.
So roster cuts day. Obviously, you're a Lions fan. What do you think about your team? Cuts that were made.
Oh man, it sucks to see all the Panthers and all the UFL guys
before you get into it. I'm kind of pissed off at y'all because y'all cut our man Stilly. So I was hoping he would have made it on y'all's roster, man. But all right, carry on.
Yeah, I was thinking that we would have kept at least one or two of the UFL guys. I think DJ Miller did really good in the preseason.
I mean, Jesus, y'all had 8 of them on your team, so
Nick Whiteside.
I thought one would have made it.
Yeah, maybe they clear waivers, make practice squad. That's kind of what I'm hoping. The edge room, terrible. I mean, we got Aiden Hutchison, always hurt Davenport, and Aleem McNeil, I think, or no, El McQueen Muhammad, I think it is. But yeah, we only have 3 edge rushers, but we're sitting at a 50-man roster right now, so there's probably, Chef Brad's in there cooking something up. But
one can only hope. And as a diehard Packers fan, I'm wearing my Charles Woodson jersey just to show how long I've been a Packers fan. I hate to say it, but I honestly think you guys are going to be just
Oh,
fine
yeah.
this year. Okay. I'm pretty much predicting Detroit to be number one in the NFC North. 2 and 3 is going to be tough. We know Chicago's coming in for.
It sucks
So
seeing
the rest of it, we got to figure it out.
Ahmed Hassanin get waived with a injury settlement today. That really sucked. That was
Yeah.
like the biggest blow of the day that I can think of. A lot of people were mad that Jackson Meeks got cut. I don't think he'll clear waivers. He'll get picked up by somebody.
No. Right. And that's the thing, right? We're down to the 53-man roster. We know who's going to be on the starting lineup, but they're still the practice squad, right? Parker Romo, guy we've supported here for a while, just got cut by the Patriots from the active squad, but he could easily get picked up somewhere
Yeah.
else. And we know, the life of a kicker. Things could go terribly wrong. Next guy up, so Parker Romo could still get his chance. And that's the thing with most of these guys, even if they wind up on a practice squad, they're still one step close. And that's what we're kind of hoping for. So again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Plug all your socials so everybody can follow you and they make sure that they're tweeting the right whatever handle thing, whatever. I don't do the Twitter, I don't know. But share your stuff so we know how to keep you in contact and get you in contact with Mike.
Yeah, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We're on everything. Everything is at My Panther Pride, MI Panther Pride. So go follow us on any of the social medias if you want to keep up on what we're doing. And I appreciate you guys for having me on and kind of giving me an outlet and bounce some ideas off of you.
Awesome. Well,
Hey,
we
man.
appreciate you joining us, man.
Yep, no problem. Hopefully I see you guys in San Antonio or in Michigan sometime soon.
Well,
should be San Antonio this year, but hopefully.
Right. Hopefully
that
you'll
all
see
works
me
out.
at least once a year. Like if I go to, if I follow Green Bay like I should be doing, you'll see me in Detroit at least once.
Well,
right?
let me know because I can't afford Lions tickets. So, like, I'll meet you some down in.
Yeah, we'll hang out in the parking lot, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll just
I'm
put it
down
on a
for
big
it.
screen or something. So,
Yep.
all right, man.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
See you, man.
Good
Appreciate
luck.
it.
Right.
Right.
Keep the faith. We'll see you, brother.
Later.
Okay. The next group that we're going to bring on, and I hope they're ready. Hope they can hear us. But the next group we want to bring on is a how would you put that? Super fan power couple? Anyways, they need no introduction, but we're going to introduce them anyways. You love them, except when it's game time and you got to play against them. It's the Predator couple. Guys, what's going
up,
on?
y'all?
How's it going?
What's up, y'all?
So it has been a minute since we've talked to you. Same questions that we asked My Panther Pride, we're going to ask you guys also. Initial thoughts when you guys heard the story break. And I want to say that there was a certain Texans podcast that broke it on the air. No, we just happened to share it. We're not like insiders or anything like that.
We didn't it just the story just happened to break like 10 minutes before we went on. So we got luck of the draw.
You got luck of the draw. It was timing for sure.
How does that saying go? Sun shines on a dog's ass at least once.
So yeah, at least once.
A broken clock's right twice a day.
Yep.
There you go. Okay, talk to us. Initial thoughts. What was going on through? What was going through your head? What happened?
Okay, I'll start on this one. It's I hate saying this in a meeting, but it's tiresome. I mean, 2020, 5-0, COVID, we got it. Okay, then we come back to ECU, we're great. Oh, we're gonna move to Rice. Okay. Can't help it. U of H is doing upgrades to stadium. Got it. We go to Rice. It's not that great there,
It's not.
So that's the game we went to. It's not. So it's been an uphill battle both ways every offseason with us. A lot of people, you lost a lot of trust going to Rice. Oh, we don't know if we're coming back. Oh, well, we don't know if we're coming back because we don't know if we can get back to TDECU. So you're losing trust every offseason, but you have us diehards that are fighting to keep the team. And let's not mention, we're going to name you all the gamblers and bring it. No, wrong answer. This is Houston. We don't do gambling here.
We're the only team in the UFL that's had this issue since the inception, even in our XFL days. A lot of it has just been we've been hit left and right, up and down, inside and out, and we're still standing. And we're making the effort. We've got more super fans. We've got a lot of our tailgate. A huge tailgate following. We're doing stuff in the off season. We're working with charitable organizations such as Warrior Wishes to help veterans. We're trying to make the impact needed to show Houston that they have spring football. And it's been an uphill battle. It's been budgeting issues. It's been marketing issues. It's been, location, name, signing a petition, doing an auction, working, it's gotten to a point where I'll be honest, if it happens, great. If not, que sera, and I feel like that's how Houston's feeling right now. Do I want it to stay? Of course I want it to stay. I'm the first female super fan. I want women to know. We've got an all women's podcast with the A team. I want the females out there to know that, hey, you too can watch football. It's okay. We're promoting women's professional football, at the same time as we're promoting UFL. And when Mike Rapoli issued the challenge to the Showboats, we started brainstorming ideas. And that's why we had all of our super fans get on their social media and say, hey, this is what we need to do. This is how we need to get going. And it sucks. All the front office people are gone. We've got 2 people from last year that we haven't been able to hear from because they're busy trying to wrangle everything in. They're busy trying to, quell the rumors and pacify the season ticket holders that are existing. Then you see the website. Oh, we're shutting down on the 30th of September. Everything's 70% off. What's going on? It's the hurry up and wait. And it gets to be bittersweet after a while. People get frustrated and they'll lose interest.
So I know you said, kind of right now, there's only a couple people in your local office. What about before kind of doing events? How much kind of support did you get from a local marketing standpoint? Because I know that's kind of the biggest gripe with, I think every market is, marketing. The UFL marketing isn't great. But I think nationally they're fine because, I saw advertisements on the Super Bowl. I saw them in the NBA Finals. I see anytime you watch ESPN, Fox, ABC, anything, you see UFL advertisements all over the place. I think the people that are saying, hey, there's a marketing issue, I think it's more of a local marketing problem that the teams aren't getting out there at a local level. And luckily, I've said, our Brahmas, we have an amazing team that is always out there. Do you guys have that same support from your local level? Obviously not with 2 people, but in the past before when you had a full staff.
We did in the past, but again, the funding behind the marketing is limited. So let's just throw arbitrary numbers out there. Each team got $50,000 for marketing, right? Well, in smaller towns like Birmingham, $50,000 will go a heck of a lot longer distance than in larger cities like Houston. And so when we see literally 1 billboard in the entire greater Houston area, which is the 3rd, if not the 4th largest city in the United States, dude, there's got to be something said about that. Outside of the free local news spots that Catherine Schultz, bless her heart, had scrambled to get to try to promote, it makes it very limited. And then when you couple that with the hub and players not being in the cities that they're playing in, you can't promote when you don't have players showing up until maybe 2 days before a game day, and that kind of puts a little bit of a damper on the marketing thing. She had great ideas. We had local heroes like Lil Flip, like Andre Johnson from the Texans. We had Swangers and Bangers Day. We had, we were promoting 713 Day here in Houston. There was stuff that we were trying to get, and it started to bandwagon. And then, of course, we get hit with Rice, or we get hit with a name change, or we get hit with back to TDECU. So it's like you take one step forward only to get pushed 2 steps back.
So we know, hang on, I'm back. We know the efforts that you guys have done. We've done some of these things with you guys, right? We arm in arm. In fact, it's because of the UFL, well, heck, the XFL, really, that we became family.
Yeah.
So we know the efforts that you guys have put together. What other options do you think you guys have at this point to try and gain some momentum, maybe get people interested again? Like, how do you get people connected back to this thing to let Rapoli know that you guys are back, to have him, help keep the team here?
I mean, at this point, it's been the super fans that promote Houston. Like you said, there was nationwide coverage as far as like NASCAR events, football events, Sunday during Fox NFL and stuff. But as far as local, it's been the super fans, because it hurts so bad when we're out there. I wear roughneck gear every day, whether it's a hat, a T-shirt, whatever. I wear roughneck gear every day, and it's like, who's that? Oh, they're still here? What?
Yeah.
We've been recognized in other cities. We've gone to Vegas wearing our roughneck gear. We've gone to Mexico wearing our roughneck gear. It's phenomenal how many times, oh, Roughnecks, UFL, that's still around? And you're like, golly. I think some of the things that maybe could help is if we had some of the players from the previous season working with the super fans, maybe promoting some charitable events. Hey, Roughnecks players are going to be at the local food bank. Come pitch in for a volunteer shift and help feed some hungry families. Or, we're supporting a back to school drive. We would love for the Roughnecks to be out there. Hey, for the veterans, we've got Veterans Days getting ready to come up in November. That would be a great day. Come join veterans and the Roughneckers tailgate to lay, flags at the VA cemetery in Houston, and show some great remembrance and honor in supporting those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. There's toy drives that can be done. The list goes back, turkey drives that can be done for Thanksgiving. All of this stuff can be done in tandem with the rest of the year, as well as promote it on ESPN, on Fox. Get Redbird behind some of this stuff. You've got the national attention. Let's start marketing it specifically for the cities and see what momentum you can build in a local place. If you're busy trying to feed the whole neighborhood and you're watering all of the grass in the neighborhood except your yard, honey, your yard's going to go bone dry and it's going to die off. What do you expect?
Yeah.
Me and Rig Rocker, we got those rolling billboard sign things for the back of our trucks. Houston Roughnecks season tickets, UFL.com. We're doing everything we can on aside from standing on an overpass with a sign that's promoting the Houston Roughnecks.
And we've thought
why
about
not? Why haven't y'all done that yet?
Yeah, right.
Well,
obviously you guys aren't that dedicated to your team if you're not standing on overpass. Okay.
That might be going too far, because you guys have jobs you have to do, and people might think you are in mental distress and call the authorities.
Right.
So it really sounds like you guys have done everything that you can. The only thing left would be just like what we told My Panther Pride. Got to get you connected with Rapoli. Let him know the efforts that you guys are doing. See what he can do to help get your get the word out there, right? It was nice that he issued the challenge to Birmingham. It was nice that he picked up on the efforts going on in Michigan, which are phenomenal.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the things from the established teams, right? I don't have a whole bunch of socials following the Memphis fan base. I know they've done some stuff, but I don't think it's like what you guys have done. I don't think it's what like the Houston fans in general have done. So we need to maybe raise some attention to that. Obviously, Texans Talking Football, Alternative Football Network, we're here to support you guys and share that information. But for our fellow fan base that's watching, I'm sure you've got friends in Houston. You maybe tell them about what's going on, have them start sharing some of this information via Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, Facebook. Like, share some of these efforts. Let's see what we can do to try and get a conversation going, even if it's on X, between Rapoli and some of the Houston fan base, to see if he's willing to issue them a challenge and give them a little bit of support. And if nothing else, at least recognition. Maybe things don't work out for Houston, but at least thank the people that are out doing the tireless effort, right? Oh, fine. It's a losing battle, but at least say thank you to the folks that put their blood, sweat, and tears into this to make it happen, right?
And it's funny you said that, because that's what we made a point to do our very last home game is, okay, if this doesn't last, thank you, Fox. Thank you, ESPN. Thank you, UFL. Thank you, players. Because they're out there busting their butts for us, and we know that. And we love this league so much because the players do so much to develop a relationship with the fans. And I mean, like with David Arnett, he got signed with the Texans. Unfortunately, he got cut today, but he was there. That's what this is about. Yep. We follow players everywhere they go. I mean, we've gone Detroit, New Orleans Saints, Texans, Cowboys. Ugh. But but I mean, and that's, like I said, that's what it's about. It's a closer relationship with the players, the fans. I mean, look at us. Like you said, a couple seasons ago, we didn't know anybody. Now we've got family all over in every city that there is.
Yeah, exactly.
We go to an away game. We got a place to stay because we got family there. I mean, bottom line, that's what this is.
Yeah.
And I'll take it a step further. This is therapy for some people, and I've said it. I said it in our video that we just and yes, I tagged Rapoli in it. This is therapy for some people. It's a purpose. I
mean, as veterans, we definitely take pride in the fact that we work with veterans and we help Warrior Wishes and other veterans groups to introduce them into the UFL. I'm working tirelessly with corporate entities trying to get them to do some sponsorships, just talking on my own with my own company saying, hey, why are we not doing this? And last year they had, tickets on their employee website. And, from what I found out, there was a couple hundred that were sold through my employee website. I thought that was phenomenal. I'd love to see our corporate people get a little bit more involved behind it and just go around knocking, go to some of these vendor shows and say, hey, we're with the UFL. We would love to do discounted rates on tailgate parking passes, or maybe you can come check out our suites for a tour and see if maybe this would be something your company would be interested in. I don't see that kind of stuff. And these are all ideas that have been brought forth. And I don't know if they're taking it to heart and utilizing it, or if it's just been falling on deaf ears. But at the end of the day, we can only do so much as fans. We can only do so much as onlookers. And we've got to understand that the UFL, it's an ever changing annually, year after year. Yeah. You can be top of the mountain, and the following year you're bottom of the totem pole, and that's.
I mean, we kind of know all about that from.
Yeah, no, we go 1-9, and then y'all go 1-9, and
yeah.
It's gonna change every year,
but that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. Honestly.
Exactly.
It really, truly is, because you've got up and coming players. They're going to be utilized. You know, the A team's going to be with Jose Jefferson at their combine here in January. We're going to be working with players to interview them and help them get their media skills intact for upcoming interviews with teams. And I'm loving the fact that, you know, we as women are putting a face on something that otherwise would have gone ignored and unnoticed.
Because,
That's
honestly, there's so many times in so many games where we go and little girls run up to Miss Predator here, run up to Brahma Babe. Oh, there's girls. It's an eye-opening experience. And now you got the women's football league coming up and getting noticed and stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
this is opening so many doors for everybody. And they're just looking at dollar signs. It's like, okay, well then how do you let's not fix what we have. Like she said, let's not fix our own backyard. Let's worry about everybody else's. No, wrong answer.
I would love to see Rapoli reach out to the Houston MLS team, the Houston Dynamo, and utilize Shell Energy Stadium. They seat roughly 15,000. I think that would be a great spot going forward to build up and start utilizing for, I mean, that could be the new rig. And the fact that it's an oil company kind of goes in with the whole roughneck, protect the rig, the whole genre of it being an oil city. I would hate for the Roughnecks to go to another city with that name, because nobody represents oil like Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, we're oil, y'all are cattle. And then
Yeah.
you got South
absolutely.
Oklahoma.
It works.
Yeah.
All right.
Well-
So getting away from the UFL stuff. Obviously, I'm asking the same question I did, Lauren. NFL cut day. You know, obviously Houston made their 53-man roster. What do you guys think about it?
I'm looking forward to it. I see the defense is pretty decent. You know, I know that the improvements that were made there is definitely showing. I wish that Damon Arnett from the Roughnecks was kept with the Texans, but who knows? He might go back. We'll see. As far as like offense goes, I mean, it's there. You know, CJ Stroud, he's finding his spots. He's getting the people that he wants around him. And I think that, you know, D'Amico Ryans is definitely building a team that has improved ever since he's been here as head coach. So I see them going into the playoffs. I see them taking first place in the AFC South. And I appreciate, you know, everything that the Texans are doing.
You know,
I'm just gonna say this now. She claims to be a Niners fan, but she knows more about the Texans. So
I'm a
Good
Niners
job.
fan at heart. I'm just letting y'all know. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Niners playing as well, but the only time I ever do actually get to see them is when they're playing the Texans. So
what I
it's
mean,
a
what do you
house
think about the Niners? I
on
mean,
October
you know,
28th when the
how about the
Texans are
Niners?
playing the Niners.
How about the Niners moves? What do you think about those?
They're battling a lot of injuries from the previous season. You know, McCaffrey was in for 2 games last season and then gone. So I'm wondering what's going to happen with that one. I know that they got rid of a few players on their defense. I'm wondering how Greenlaw is going to kind of lead that new upcoming defense, because a few of the players did go and pursue other opportunities, and I don't blame them. You know, it's very frustrating as a Niners fan to get to the dance and never win it, you know?
Yeah.
But
I
at
mean,
least
you know, I'm gonna come and take my shot. You know, y'all one of the teams that Cowboys have won a Super Bowl more recently than y'all have. So
yeah, but the Niners have been to a Super Bowl more recently than the Cowboys.
but you didn't win. You didn't win. So you know, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Green
Still
Bay
ahead.
did though.
Still ahead.
So, all right, guys. Go ahead and shout out your socials. Let's make sure, you know, fan base of our show, of Horns Forward Podcast, Alternative Football Network, everybody that can do their part. Let's start tweeting, and let's see if we can't get Rapoli connected with some of these super fans here to have the conversation, to at least issue the same challenge to them, give them a chance to try and earn their team, or at least know that they've done everything they can, and maybe get a thank you from Rapoli if it doesn't work out, right? So go ahead, shout out your socials.
Facebook, we got the Predator Couple, X and Twitter, or X and Instagram. Mr. Predator, because I'm the one that mostly posts on those.
All him.
But Facebook is the Predator Couple. That's where we mostly post all of our stuff. If you're part of Roughneckers Tailgate, that's where we post a lot of stuff too. If not, send us a request. We'll get you approved, answer the questions. You know, we've got a lot of y'all on the tailgate page because when y'all come in, y'all are more than welcome and you know it. Yeah, that's what we have.
And then we're also I'll go ahead and let y'all know the only women's podcast in UFL is the A Team, Amanda and Amber. And we are your Woman Crush Wednesday at 7 p.m. And y'all can find us going through StreamYard. We're going to be coming up on X soon and Instagram as well as YouTube. So be looking out for us. We're catching up to you boys and we're getting ready to hurtle right over y'all.
Hey,
That's really not going to be that hard. Set a real goal. Meeting with us, okay? Anyways, guys, thank you
we appreciate
so
y'all
much.
coming on. You know, thanks for taking some time and hanging out with us and just chatting about everything.
Thank y'all for having us on, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
All right,
All right,
you guys
be
take
good.
care. All right, B, it's just you and I now. So, obviously a lot going on, a lot of emotions riding on all of this stuff, and right in the midst of us transitioning into the NFL season. So I can't, I feel bad for all of our friends across the league. I know there's some groups that have worked tirelessly to bring support to their organization, putting in personal time. Hell, this year was not good for me. Just from a general timeline standpoint, it could not make a lot of things work. But I know you and Jackie, Two Bramasita, with the Horns Forward podcast, Texans Talking Football. You guys have gone out and done some events. I'm hoping to be able to reconnect in the fall here and be there to help support as well. But there's tons of groups that are out there tirelessly doing the work that you would think the league would be doing. But because this is a transient thing in the first place, it's going to require grassroots efforts, such as
Absolutely.
what all the super fans are doing. So just make sure you're going out there and you're sharing the information on X, on Facebook, on Instagram, if I could ever figure out how to use that. You do your part. If these teams mean anything to you, make sure that you're sharing the information. Okay. Let's switch gears real quick because I want to talk about it. We don't have a whole lot of information, but I want to talk about the IFL championship game. Shout out to Bobby Ott and all of our friends over at Pro Arena Talk. They tried to share as much information with us as they could about that. But it looks like this is a very heavily, this is a lot of back and forth action in this game, right? Vegas did wind up winning 64-61 against my adopted Green Bay Blizzard just for the playoffs. But it looks like it was a great game, right? There's a lot of back and forth action, a lot of offense, a lot of the stuff that we talk about that we love from the old AFL days and stuff. This game represented that. So congratulations to Vegas Nighthawks. Unfortunately, Green Bay Blizzard, much like Green Bay Packers, they get deep into the playoffs and then they fall apart.
Yep.
It is what it is. Okay. So looking forward to what happens in the offseason and next season for the IFL. I know AF1 is coming on strong, so there may be competition as to who's the best arena league. And I'm here for it, right? Because I always want to see the best product on the field. So as things come along, we'll keep you guys updated. But let's switch back over to the NFL. Okay. BD, I was watching some stuff and asking you some questions. How do you feel about, well, I guess it would be the 52-man roster, because they're obviously trying to keep a spot open for a certain somebody.
Well, he's already on the roster. He's signed for this year. So,
Oh, okay.
I was do what?
He's negotiating a longer term contract.
Yeah, he's trying to get an extension. Like he's still under contract this year. He's still on the team. Whether, obviously what happens with that, who knows? We'll see. But I was kind of surprised at a couple moves the Cowboys made. One with them them cutting Will Greer. Only puts them at 2 quarterbacks. So they're gonna have to make a move because you got to have your third emergency quarterback. So obviously they're going to pick somebody up from something. Running backs, they cut Deuce Vaughn and Malik Davis. Obviously Deuce Vaughn, drafted him. I think a couple years ago. I think last year was his rookie year, maybe the year before. Little quick guy. We used him a lot on kick returns. Not as much in the actual running game itself, but he's a quick little speedy guy, and was really really surprised to see he got cut. The wide receivers, kind of all the players made it that I kind of expected them to. Tight ends, same thing. We got Ferguson and Schoonmaker. The main tight ends, you got your third string guy. Man, I'm that offensive line, I'm not sold on it. Obviously struggled last year, had some problems, had a lot of movement. This year, I'm just concerned again, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Defense, Parsons, best defender in the league when he's healthy. So hopefully, they reach a deal with him. He plays. How effective is he going to be? Because he hasn't been practicing at all for the training camp because his back was hurting. But like I said, a couple surprising moves, but for the most part, we'll see.
So how do you think you guys are going to fare against the rest of your division?
Obviously, I think I said this last week. I still think Philly's at the top of the division. They're the champs. They've earned the right to be at the top. So, get a good test, I guess, week 1 next Thursday, playing Philly right off the rip. But we have a long hill to climb before we want to be in that conversation. As far as the Giants suck. They're going to be at the bottom. I feel kind of like NFC East is kind of like NFC North. Kind of know who's the top. No, definitely know who's at the bottom. Those middle two, we'll see. Washington. Washington usually does what Washington does, and they had an unexpectedly good season last year. So maybe they drop off. Hopefully they do, but we'll see.
So over in the NFC North, we pretty much have already talked about it, right? Because Lauren is a Detroit Lions fan. We know I'm a Green Bay fan. We have some.
And he's gone. Where the hell he went?
I went right here.
What was that?
What was what? Stop touching it.
Oh my gosh.
So
I'm not touching anything.
It's
freaking old
Google
people
Fiber,
technology.
but,
My God.
Dude, blame the Google Fiber. When it works, it's fire. When it doesn't, it is a dumpster fire. Okay. Anyways. Okay. Green Bay is going to be fighting for the number 2 spot with Minnesota. And I think the only reason that we're even going to be considering that is because Minnesota has been hit with the injury bug through preseason, right? So there's not a lot of backups that are going to be available the first couple of weeks, which could give us the edge, which could allow us to be competitive. There were some moves that I absolutely love here, right? First and foremost, we went with 2 quarterbacks, which is kind of standard format for Green Bay. We have a third one, but he's going to be on the practice squad. And I'm hoping that it's Sean Clifford, because Sean Clifford does have the potential to be a starter at some point. Now, maybe he's only middle of the pack, but he could be a starter. Okay. Malik Willis also. Well, he had the potential last year. This year in preseason, he didn't look so great, right? So that Malik magic wasn't quite there. And I'm hoping he gets that figured out because we may need him, right? Jordan Love underwent thumb surgery during the preseason, right? And so you kind of need your thumb to throw the ball. And so
might help a little bit.
I mean, Brett Favre did it. He made it work, but that's Brett Favre, right? Anyways, running backs, we already know. I mean, we've got Josh Jacobs. Everybody else is kind of take some pressure off of Jacobs, and that's kind of what that's going to be. I am kind of I'm not really surprised by the cuts that they made on wide receiver, although we did talk about it. There was a player from the Brahmas that didn't make the cut. And I'm
Yep.
seeing some of the guys that they kept, and it was like, I'm not so sure about this, right? But then again, I've got a little bit of hometown bias. I do like the fact that they kept Ben Sims. We haven't really talked about him much, but Ben Sims is a local kid from San Antonio. And I think that's important because, he has a chance to make an impact here. He's number 3, number 4 in the depth chart. And tight ends aren't really used like they used to be anymore, but he still has potential, right? Other than that, some of the defensive cuts, you knew it was coming, and we saw it in preseason. I still don't think that we're where we need to be. I will say the last preseason game defense looked a lot better. They had a lot of starters in there. It was much more kind of what I was hoping to see, but I still just don't think we've got a defense that's going to keep us competitive enough to be able to run with a Detroit or anything like that. Flip it over to the AFL, right? You heard it from Predator couples. Houston's looking sharp, right? Their defense has gotten better from what they can tell. Obviously, we know what they're going to get with the offense because of CJ Stroud and some of the receivers that they have. It's going to be interesting to see how they develop because we expected big things from them last year, and they kind of ran into some issues.
Yeah.
I'm also going to go out on a limb and say it. I kind of think that Miami is going to be the dark horse in that in the AFL. There's just
Interesting.
something, yeah. There's just something about the way that team is put together. I just have a sneaking suspicion that we may actually see something from them, which would be surprising. And I could be completely wrong. It's just the highlights that I've seen, the stats that I've seen. They look like they have the potential to be a competitor. I don't know if they'll go all the way, but I have a feeling they'll at least be in the mix, right?
Well, my wife would be very, very happy with that analysis.
Well, and again, we have to wait and see what happens because it never fails that some sports analysis somewhere says, "Hey, this team is built to make the run and win the Super Bowl," and they come in last place, right? There's no way we're gonna know.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's all just speculation and numbers and not getting hurt and all these things that work against you to prevent you from being the number 1 team. So it's a guessing game. Let me ask you this though, right? Because I've already done one fantasy football draft. Where are you at with your fantasy football drafts? How are your teams looking so far?
I actually have not done a draft yet. My first one is tomorrow.
Okay.
So
okay.
I got a bunch of them coming up, but yeah.
Yeah, and we've got. Are you doing the money league one with me again this year?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. But
Okay.
I'm gonna be auto drafting, but or I'll try. I won't be at the get together, but I'll try to be able to draft.
Okay. I'm going to try and make it to the draft also, but if nothing else, I at least need to stop by and say hello to the commissioner, just because he does a hell of a job being a commissioner for a fantasy football league. He puts a lot into it, and it's probably one of the most confusing leagues that I'm in, because it's not super points heavy. It's really designed around the performance of the athlete,
Yeah.
but also the teams that they're on, and like it's just crazy how he figured out how to make this stuff work, and like people are winning by like 0.08 points, like we're talking nail biter type games, and so my hat's off to him for that. And so that shout out to Jeff Bridges over at Copa Wine Bar. You guys like wine, you're in San Antonio, go see him. He's an incredible wine connoisseur, uh, absolutely phenomenal with his knowledge of beer. And then he gets into his real passion, which is bourbon and whiskey. So, but
Yep.
he doesn't sell that there. You got to have side conversations with him about that. Anyways, I'm excited, right? But not just for the NFL. College football starts this weekend, if I remember correctly.
It does. Yep.
You know?
A&M and UTSA are kicking off.
Yep. And it looks like we're not going to that game.
No, unfortunately not.
And we talked about it. We were going to go, and that did not work out. But that's okay.
Nope.
I will be watching it probably most likely at a sports bar with some friends, or I may just probably wind up tuning it on here, depending. But I'm excited. UTSA should potentially have a fresh look. They started out kind of rough last year, but they did find their rhythms shortly, probably about mid-season. And so I'm hoping that they've been able to build on that momentum and have a much stronger team this year. They're going to be facing some big competition, right? We're playing A&M. We've got a couple of other. I think we're playing Army again this year. We've got some powerhouses on our schedule, and if we can do well against them, we can continue to push to try and get into some of the bigger and better leagues and get bigger and better drafts or recruits rather. So
No.
we'll have to see what happens. I think UIW's season has already started. I think they started last weekend. So we're obviously going to be keeping an eye on them, and Texas State. We're going to be keeping an eye on how many felony convictions the team gets. It's a joke. It's a joke, folks. But yeah, man, we've talked about it before, but it's a great time to be alive. We've literally transitioned smoothly. Well, not smoothly, but we did transition from the UFL into arena ball and now into pro ball and college ball. So I'm excited about that. You've got to be excited about college or about high school football too.
I mean,
No,
not really. I mean, Mavericks, Madison, they suck. So,
well, one guy who is quintessential part of the show, even though he hasn't been on in like 2 years, would be Coach Tom, and he's excited for the Veterans Memorial Patriots, but that's also because his youngest son is playing for the team, and two of his boys they're not coaching. The oldest is coaching for the team. The middle son is coaching for the middle school.
cool.
But there's that family connection to keep the Judson legacy going, and the Walkers as part of the Judson ISD legacy and lore. So we'll be watching them. We're excited for them. That's also, I think, one of Milton's favorite high school teams. But again, it's probably because he knows Tom. So, it is what it is. But anyways, okay.
I did see
That's
that
kind of
the in what 5A Piper is number 2 in the area. So
that honestly that doesn't really surprise me. They do a hell of a job training their athletes and making sure that they're getting kind of the best of the best, all within the structures that they can. Like they can't go out and recruit players and move them into the area or have a parent get a job there. No, that's all been shut down by the UIL, I think it was. So you can't do those.
Just because they say it's shut down, don't mean it's shut down. Just like paying players.
I mean, I guess there is that.
That's always been going on, but
yeah,
there's just you got to be smarter about it.
True. But anyways, yeah, Piper should be a powerhouse in 5A. We'll see how that kind of breaks down. And I'm sure there's going to be. I think veterans is 5A also. I'd have to go back and look. Um, but if that's the case, there should be some pretty damn good games against veterans and Piper. We'll see how that all breaks out. But anyways, so that's kind of it, right? College football starts this weekend. Make sure you're tuning in. NFL should be starting a week after that, if I remember correctly.
Next week, next Thursday, NFL kicks off.
Awesome. All right. So that's pretty much it for the show this week. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to W Energy Drink for, our sponsorship. We appreciate everything you do for the show. Also want to shout out to XFL Mike G and AFN for all the content information, the background stuff that you guys do for us. Bobby Otten, Sammy Sharp, Pro Arena Talk. Thank you guys for everything that you do. Most importantly, fans. Thank you guys for watching yet another episode of Texans Talking Football. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you very much. We appreciate you. Brian, give what do you guys, NFC East?
Yeah, NFC East.
Give the NFC East a sign off.
Well, not this week because college football's starting. Aggies are kicking off. So you know what? Suck it, UTSA.
Oh, that's all right. I'm going to sign off with suck it, SEC. We'll see you guys later. Hunts forward, go Pack, go. Love you guys.
Later.